Hello, beautiful homemakers. We are reading Chapter 4 of Charlene Johnson's Beautiful Homemaking, and the chapter is entitled Beautiful You. She starts it out with a poem from St. Francis of Assisi. I'm sure you've heard it. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hate, may I bring love. Where offense, may I bring pardon. May I bring union in place of discord, truth replacing error, faith where once there was doubt, hope for despair, light where was darkness, joy to replace sadness. Make me not to so crave to be loved as to love. Help me to learn that in giving I may receive. In forgetting self, I may find life eternal. Now, Chapter 4 is a very long chapter, 25 pages. I'm not sure I'll be able to get through the whole chapter in one video, but we'll see. Have you ever looked at a before and after picture of a woman and wished that someone would just take you under her wing and show you how to be your most attractive self? Well, Mother, that's just the purpose of this chapter. Not every woman can be breathtakingly beautiful, but every woman can be attractive outwardly and beautiful inwardly. We must never make the mistake of thinking that beauty alone is sufficient. Only in nature or in inanimate objects, such as statues or paintings, does beauty alone suffice. To understand the importance of physical beauty in its proper perspective and place is indeed a mark of an intelligent woman. I think we all know that when we look our best, we feel our best and act our best. It adds so much to our confidence and poise. Just the other day, my darling husband asked me why I was wearing heels to a Zoom meeting. I told him because when I am properly dressed, from head to toe, I feel my best and act my best. Plus, what if I had to walk away? To be wearing tennis shoes or slippers would be incongruous. Charlene said it adds so much to our confidence and poise. This is also why I never run out the door looking a mess. That is when you are most likely to meet someone important and make a bad impression. She continues, it is when we exaggerate the importance of physical beauty that we stand on shaky ground. The eternal qualities of the mind, heart, and soul are the qualities that truly count in the sight of God and man. A famous marriage counselor illustrated this point vividly when he told the true story of one of his counselees. Mrs. X, a woman separated from her husband, had come to the counselor for advice on another marriage which she was considering. Mrs. X was an extremely beautiful woman, expensively dressed and perfectly groomed. All her life she'd had everything given to her on a silver platter. This was the reason behind the failure of her first marriage. She had demanded and received a fabulous home, cars, clothes, and furniture, which her husband simply could not afford. She wanted this and she wanted that, and consistently demanded that she have these things. She did not realize that empty lives are empty still, though filled with things. Her husband, downhearted and nearly bankrupt, could not take it any longer, and they had separated. The counselor listened intently to Mrs. X's side of the story, and then he said to her, I'd like you to hear something. Then he called in the elderly office janitress. He said to the janitress, Will you please tell Mrs. X how you found happiness in life? And the dear janitress began her story. Well, my husband died of pneumonia, and 3 months later my only son was killed in an accident. I had nobody or nothing. I walked in a daze. I couldn't sleep. I didn't feel like eating. I never smiled at anyone or anything. I'd even thought of doing away with myself. One night a scrawny kitten followed me home from work. Somehow I felt sorry for that kitten. It was cold outside, and I decided to let the kitten in, and I gave it some milk. It purred and rubbed against my leg, and for the first time in months I smiled. Then I stopped to think. If helping a little kitten could make me smile, maybe doing something for somebody else would make me happy. So the next day, I baked some goodies and took them to a neighbor who was sick in bed. Every day I tried to do something nice for someone else, because it made me so happy to see them happy. I guess a person can't be very happy unless he's thinking of how much he can help others instead of how much he can get. I don't know of anybody who sleeps and eats better than I do. I've found happiness. When the janitress had finished her story, the counselor noticed the tears were trickling down Mrs. X's cheeks. "You don't need to say anything," Mrs. X said softly. "I'm going to make a human being out of this useless, silly doll that I've always been." She had seen how hollow physical beauty and things alone can be. And from author unknown, it's good to have money and the things money can buy, but it's good, too, to check up once in a while and make sure that you haven't lost the things money can't buy. Now that we understand and appreciate the importance of inward and outward beauty, we're ready to talk about you and how you can look your prettiest. Watch your husband glow like a bridegroom, and notice how proud your children will be of you when you make those extra efforts to look your best. Let your goal be to look my best from head to toe. And now comes Charlene Johnson's tips. Remember, she was an ex-model. The first is posture. This is the #1 figure fault of women everywhere. Slouch in front of a mirror and then stand up straight. See what a tremendous change takes place in your appearance just by holding yourself erectly? Much can be told about a woman's personality just by the way she carries herself. If she is relaxed, poised, and self-confident, it can usually be seen in her good posture. Here is the recipe for good posture. Tummy pulled way in. Buttocks tucked way under. Chest held high, as if you were being pulled upward by 2 magic strings. Chin up, shoulders relaxed. Try it now. If it hurts, it's because you're not standing that way all the time. You'll feel better and healthier if you stand correctly. Think tall, walk tall, stand tall, feel tall, sit tall. In correcting your posture, how you carry your head determines your total poise and grace. When we sag our head forward, our shoulders slump, our chest caves in, and our waistline looks thickened. In fact, when your head sags forward, you'll lose about 1 inch in body height, and it'll look like you've gained 1 inch around your waist. And we have a real problem with this now in society. First, from staring too long at a computer monitor, and second, from looking down at our phones. Our heavy head is causing our posture to sag by constantly looking down or leaning forward, looking at that monitor. We need to keep our head high, not with our chin, but by gently pushing down with your shoulders, stretching the top of your head upward. The center of your ear is supposed to be lined up vertically with the center of your shoulder bone. You can film yourself to check your posture or check it with a friend. A friend could hold a ruler or a pencil vertically at your earlobe and check to see if it lines up with the center of your shoulder bone. Then you need to push your head backward until it does. And that is where your head should be. We need to keep our shoulders straight. We are not to be thrusting them backwards so much that we look like a soldier standing at attention, but we're to exert just a slight bit of downward pressure on our shoulders to keep them low and relaxed. Have you ever seen somebody hold their shoulders really high and strained? No, low and relaxed. You don't hunch them forward over your chest. You want to open up through your chest, shoulders down, and let your arms fall naturally at your sides. You don't want to stand stiff-armed or with your hands clenched. You can bend your elbows slightly. Your chest is high but relaxed. You're not puffing out your chest like a balloon, because when you thrust out your chest too much, it throws your shoulders back into an awkward position, and that produces a swayed back. This is something I need to work on because I noticed that I was swaying my back too much. I think I might have gotten into that habit by carrying a purse that was too heavy. I also had gotten into the habit of putting all my body weight on one leg instead of just standing straight. Remember that your bottom and your tummy work together. As you tighten your bottom muscles, you're pushing down and tucking way under, as Charlene said, and you're flattening your tummy at the same time by pulling upward and inward. Your tummy is a very critical area. You need to keep those muscles under control. Don't let them have their way. You need to focus on developing strong stomach muscles, and then you'll have nicer posture, and you'll eliminate back problems. Practice in a mirror. Practice standing against a wall. Another thing that helps is lying down on a mat, like a thick exercise mat, and making sure that your back is straight. Every day about 4 o'clock, I try and go lay down to re-straighten my back. Another thing you can do is learn to walk in heels. We talked a lot about that in the FW books, but when you're wearing heels, you are controlling those tummy muscles, and it helps keep you fit. Of course, your feet may not like it as much, but heels can help you keep your tummy fit and your posture tall and regal. The next section is all about walking. These are her tips. 1 foot in front of the other as if following a line. Toes ever so slightly out. Hips move smoothly. No swaying from side to side. No heel clicking, please. Arms relaxed. Posture perfect. No bouncing. Smoothness is the key word for correct walking. Imagine that you are gliding along. Now, we learned from one of our books, I think the book on how to look sexier in 7 days, that a sway in a woman's walk is very appealing to men. But I think what she's saying is, don't sashay like you're on a runway. Hips need to move side to side smoothly, not sashaying. Now, some girls, especially young girls, they have more of a bounce in their walk, but Charlene is trying to describe an elegant walk. Try not to walk with your head down. Your posture is very important when you're walking. Your goal is to pull yourself up, making you taller. Your heels are the first to land, softly and lightly. You walk heel to toe. And as Charlene said, imagine that you're following a chalk line. You're not to toe in or toe out, although Charlene did say toes are ever so slightly pointed out. You glide along smoothly, not bouncing up and down. Little girls bounce up and down, but in most situations we want to glide along smoothly. Notice if your head and your chest are slanting forward, almost like they're leading your body. Some have described this as leading with your head or pointing with your nose. You need to get your head back in line over your hips. And when we see ourselves on film, that's when we usually say, "Oh wow, I had no idea." And even sometimes when I'm watching a movie, I'll see an actress who hasn't been properly taught how to walk, and she'll have an extremely masculine walk, or she's doing something like leading with her chest. We want to be straight up vertical, head in line over your hips, and we're actually leading with our thighs. We swing out smoothly from our hips, keeping our entire body vertical. A list of don'ts. Don't swish your knees together noisily. It would often happen with material such as corduroy pants, one leg catching on the other. Don't overreach your stride. You just want to keep it moderate. Don't shuffle your shoes. It's very annoying when kids do it and when adults do it. Don't overswing your arms. Don't wobble or sway your hips unnecessarily. Sway is attractive, but not when it's overdone. Try not to wear shoes that hurt your feet, because pinched toes or heels that want to slip out of your sandals, that ruins your charming walk. Your shoes do have to fit well for a graceful walk. And you may need inserts, or there are all kinds of little cushions that you can buy for your shoes on Amazon. Some work, some don't. So don't overbuy. Just try it out. Or take your shoes to a cobbler. Cobblers still exist. Just look for a shoe repair shop and see if they can help give a good pair of older shoes new life. And when I used to always wear heels to work, way back in the 1990s, as soon as I would buy a pair of heels, I would take it to a cobbler and have him put on a thick layer of rubber on the entire bottom of the shoe, where the ball of the foot goes and the heel. This thick rubber not only helped immensely with comfort, but it also helped me to glide along the hallways soundlessly. No clicking heels. And if you do wear nice shoes that could end up getting scuffed when you drive, you might want to consider having a driving shoe. When I always had to wear heels, I just kept an old shoe for my right foot. I would keep my left heel on, but put on my driving shoe, which was a heel, for my drive to and from work, so that I never had scuffed heels, which is an easy way to ruin a good look. In fact, the old idiom, "down at the heels," originated with people wearing nice outfits, but then when you looked at their heels were worn down, which showed that they didn't have the money to replace their shoes. Shoes wore out quickly in the 19th century. Today, down at the heels typically describes something that is shabby or neglected, in poor condition due to lack of money or lack of care. But we always want to take a look at our shoes, the condition of our shoes. The next little section Charlene talks about is sitting. Let the back of your legs touch the front of the chair. Sit down on the edge of the chair, keeping your back straight, and slide back. To get up, slide forward to the edge of the chair and get up with your back straight. While sitting, keep your ankles and knees together, whether your legs are crossed or not. Practice, practice, practice. So here, Charlene is talking about the elegant form of sitting, which I think is called the Duchess slant. Okay, I've gotten out Micah Myers' book, Modern Etiquette Made Easy, and if you need help with sitting or walking, and you need to know the proper etiquette of anything in the workplace and beyond, this is such a wonderful book, very easy to read, with color pictures, which I found very helpful. For sitting, she has the Queen's Pose, the Duchess Slant, the Cambridge Cross, and the Sussex Slant. She's got standing posture, the Sussex Stance, the Cambridge Carry, and she's even got something for men, staircase posture, walking posture, getting in and out of a car. She talks about your voice and body language, your charisma. She has got everything in here. It's a wonderful book. The bottom line is we don't want to ruin our regal appearance by flopping like a rag doll into a chair or twisting your feet around the chair legs. No. Don't cross your arms. Don't touch your face unnecessarily with your hands when you're sitting. You want instead to sit yourself on the edge of the chair, then slide back gracefully, easing yourself into place. What you don't want to do is, like a little child that can't fit well on the couch, you don't want to wriggle back into your chair like with snake hips when you're being seated. You just want to let yourself down slowly, keeping your hips well tucked under and your back straight, sitting on the edge of the chair, then sliding back gracefully, easing yourself into place. You also don't want to recline in a chair, sliding your hips forward. Think of when you're really tired and you're sitting on the couch and your hips are all the way at the front part of the couch and you're leaning back like a board with your head nestled on the back of the couch. You're slumping. This is what we don't want to do in public. You want to be pretty to look at. You don't want people going, "What is she doing?" You want to sit tall and poised with your knees together, your ankles together, one foot slightly ahead of the other, hands resting lightly in your lap. Then if you decide to sit with your legs crossed, you need to cross them well above your knee so that both legs can be held closely together. And your hanging foot should be close to the ankle of the other foot, toes pointed downward. Or if your knees are together, you can cross your ankles and draw your legs over to one side. I'm sure you can find some tutorials on YouTube. In fact, Micah Meyer has a channel. I bet she's gone over this, not only in her book, but on her channel. Another tip that I found was keep your legs in front of your chair. Never draw them under your seat as if to hide them. 3 other things to talk about. Adjusting your skirt was one of them. I wish I could show you these pictures, but everything's copyrighted. I'm looking at the teacher's book of the Christian Charm course by Emily Hunter. I've got the 1960s version, but I think they might still be re-editing this book. You might be able to find a more modern copy. At the end, I'm going to paraphrase some of what she says at the end of her chapter. What you don't want to do when sitting down is lean really far forward and take your hands and draw them down your backside, smoothing in your skirt and then sitting down. It almost looks like you're going to topple over. Instead, you're running your thumbs down the side of your skirt, not your bottom, as you lower yourself into your chair. This is far more graceful. Another thing you don't want to do is adjust your skirt after you're seated, moving all about, trying to get it right. If you're really uncomfortable, you might need to get up for a moment, walk around, or get some refreshments, and then come back and try again. If you're not sure if you sit nicely or if this is all new to you, try filming yourself. Another thing I wanted to bring up was I saw a short of this woman teaching an etiquette class to a group of young girls, and she showed how to properly stoop down to pick up an item. And as we get older, if we don't practice these things, we lose this ability to properly pick things up off the floor. Most of us just have bad form. We are used to just bending over and picking it up, bottom up in the air. But the proper way is to do it gracefully by placing one foot in front of the other and lowering yourself with both knees bent, your spine straight, your head standing tall. You're using your leg muscles as you go down and then to raise yourself up again, keeping your spine and head straight. I am guilty of stooping over, but that is not becoming, and you never want to do that in public. Think about if you were wearing a mini skirt. You wouldn't bend over with your knees stiff. You would have to very cautiously drop your legs down using your leg muscles, and then picking up the item and standing up straight again. Something to practice, something to keep in mind. And when you're going down steps, don't lean forward and try not to stare down at the steps. I am guilty of that too. It's like you don't want to fall, especially if you're in heels, but you're supposed to have that same lovely posture you have when you're walking, and this simply takes a lot of practice. If at all possible, when going downstairs, you don't go straight down, you kind of go at a slant. If this is something you need to work on, I'm sure there are tutorials for this on YouTube. In summary, posture is important. And when we walk, we don't want to trot. We want to keep our core tight and the trunk of our body upright, not leaning forward. We want to maintain graceful posture when we're sitting as well. I want to summarize now what Emily Hunter says on pages 28 and 29 of the Teacher's Handbook of the Christian Charm Course. A lovely posture and a graceful carriage are essential ingredients of charm. But we don't want to be like the women who are beautiful and who have all the social graces down, but who have an ugly spirit. We want to cultivate a beautiful spiritual posture and a pleasing Christian walk in our day-to-day life. We'll never be charming, no matter how regal our bearing, if we are holding our head high in arrogance and self-conceit. We'll never be charming if we lack sympathy, if we can't understand another person's needs, if we're rude, or if we're disloyal or untrue. We will never be charming if we're only out to satisfy our own selfish whims, demanding our own way above others. Some of our deep-set patterns and thoughts, our attitudes and emotional responses were formed when we were children or teens. Do these thought responses and ways we act benefit us or hinder us? Our physical posture, our walk, our bearing is only important here on earth, but our spiritual posture and our Christian walk is for eternity. For one day, each one of us will stand before God. And what will our posture be then? Is your head going to hang low? Or will you be able to stand before God unashamed, knowing that you have followed Jesus and have lived your life according to what He says to do? When we yield to Jesus, we become a sweet fragrance to others. And in yielding to Jesus, we take our own personal development out of our hands and place it into His hands. Remember that God can remake our disposition and our character. We are worth a lot to Him. Let Him help you build your Christian character by abiding with Christ moment by moment. He will teach you how to walk in love, to walk uprightly, to walk honestly and humbly with Him. Psalm 128, verses 1 and 2 says, "Blessed is everyone who fears the Lord, who walks in His ways." The next section Charlene will be talking about is our diet.